In rural Pennsylvania, a disgraced journalist was about to uncover a truth that should have stayed buried. What started as a desperate attempt to start over took a shocking turn when she discovered a letter warning her not to open what lay beneath. Marin Calloway wasn't your typical homebuyer. For 5 years, she had spent her life chasing stories in Philadelphia, known for her relentless pursuit of truth, until one investigation destroyed a family and her career along with it. When she found Evelyn Brandt's sealed warning in the abandoned farmhouse, she had no idea she was walking into a web of guilt that spanned generations. Marin's choice to dig deeper would lead to consequences that shattered more than just her own redemption. What began as a search for a fresh start would become a reckoning with the cost of truth. The valley would never be the same after one woman learned that some secrets are buried for mercy, not fear. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The farmhouse looks like something God forgot to finish. Marin Calloway stands at the edge of the overgrown driveway, her boots sinking into mud that has not seen gravel in decades, and feels the last thread of optimism unravel in her chest. The house sits 40 acres deep into the valley, surrounded by fog that clings to the hills, like it has nowhere else to go. The windows are shuttered, some hanging crooked on rusted hinges. The porch sags in the middle, wood rotted black from rain and neglect. Vines crawl up the eastern wall, thick as a man's wrist, choking the chimney and pulling at the shingles like they are trying to drag the whole structure back into the earth. Beside her, Liam shifts his weight from one foot to the other, saying nothing. He is 27 years old, her cousin, her co-owner in this disaster, and the only person who did not tell her she was making a mistake. His hands are shoved deep in his jacket pockets. His breath comes out in clouds. It is October, and the cold here is different from the city. It gets inside you. It stays. Marin tries to remember what hope felt like. 2 weeks ago, when the auction notice arrived in her cramped Philadelphia apartment, she had stared at the grainy photograph of the farmhouse and thought, this could be it. A place to disappear. A place to start over. A place where no one knew her name or the story that destroyed her career. She had called Liam that same night, half drunk on cheap wine and desperation, and said, come with me. Let's buy it together. Let's get out of here. And he had said yes, because Liam was good like that. Because he still believed in her when she did not believe in herself. Now standing in front of the house, Marin wonders if she has just dragged him into another wreck she cannot fix. Sadie barks once, sharp and bright, her tail wagging as she sniffs at the edge of the porch. The dog is a mutt, mostly shepherd, with something else mixed in that makes her ears stand up crooked. Marin found her chained to a fallen fence behind the property 3 days ago, when she came to see the place before the auction closed. Someone had left Sadie there to die. Marin unchained her, fed her, and Sadie has not left her side since. The dog has no idea they are standing at the edge of ruin. To Sadie, this is just another place to explore. They walk closer, boots crunching on dead leaves and broken branches. The yard is choked with weeds that come up to their knees. Wildflowers grow in twisted clumps near the foundation, petals black with frost. The air smells like wet wood and iron, like something left to rot too long. Liam finally speaks, his voice quiet. It's not as bad as it looks. Marin does not answer. It is worse. She knew it would be. The auction listing had been honest enough. Estate sale, as is, no inspections. Previous owner deceased. Property unsold for 50 years. But she had not expected this. This weight, this feeling that the house is watching them, waiting to see what they will do. Sadie suddenly stops wagging her tail. She stands rigid near the porch steps, her ears flat against her skull, and whines low in her throat. It is a sound Marin has never heard her make before. The dog backs up 2 steps, then sits, refusing to go closer. Sadie, Marin calls, but the dog does not move. Liam crouches down, extending his hand. Come on, girl. It's just an old house, but Sadie digs her paws into the dirt near the foundation, scratching at a particular spot like she is trying to uncover something. Her claws scrape against stone. She whines again, sharper this time, and looks back at Marin with eyes that seem too intelligent for an animal. Marin feels something cold settle in her stomach. She tells herself it is nothing. Dogs are strange. They react to smells humans cannot detect. Mice in the walls, dead animals under the porch. But she cannot shake the feeling that Sadie knows something they do not. They leave the dog outside and approach the front door. It hangs crooked on its hinges, swollen from moisture and age. Liam puts his shoulder into it, and it scrapes open with a sound like something dying. The interior is dark, cold. The windows let in only thin slices of grey light. Marin steps inside, and the floorboards groan under her weight. The front room is filled with debris. Overturned furniture, broken glass. Newspapers yellowed with age, scattered across the floor like confetti from a funeral. A fireplace dominates the far wall, its mantle cracked and blackened with soot. Above it hangs a portrait, tilted and covered in dust, of a woman with severe eyes and a mouth pressed into a thin line. Marin stares at the portrait for a long moment, feeling the woman's gaze follow her even through the grime. Liam moves through the space with the practical eye of someone who knows how to fix things. He taps the walls, checking for rot. He tests the stairs, which creak but hold. He opens doors to rooms filled with shadows and the smell of decay. "Foundation's solid," he says. "Roof needs work. Probably everything needs work. But it's not hopeless." Marin wants to believe him. She needs to believe him, because if this place is hopeless, then so is she. They make their way to the kitchen, a long, narrow room at the back of the house. The counters are warped, the cabinets hanging open like broken jaws. A sink sits beneath a window that looks out over the backyard, where fog presses against the glass like it is trying to get in. The floor is covered in old linoleum, cracked and peeling, patterned with flowers that might have been cheerful once but now look like something out of a nightmare. Marin walks across the kitchen, and her boot lands on a section of floor that sounds different, hollow. She stops, shifts her weight, and hears it again. A dull echo beneath her feet. "Liam," she says. He comes to stand beside her. She taps her heel against the linoleum, and the sound reverberates, empty and strange. Liam kneels down, pressing his palm flat against the floor. "Something's under here, a crawl space. Maybe, or a cellar." He looks up at her, his face shadowed. Old farmhouses sometimes have root cellars. "For storing food," Marin nods, but the cold feeling in her stomach spreads. She thinks of Sadie, digging near the foundation, refusing to come inside. She tells herself it is nothing, just an old cellar, sealed up and forgotten. But when they walk back outside to fetch their bags from the truck, Sadie is still sitting in the same spot, staring at the house like it is a living thing. And the dog will not move, no matter how many times Marin calls her name. That night, they drive into town to buy supplies. The nearest store is 15 miles away, a small general store with a faded sign that reads, "Mercer's Goods." The woman behind the counter is somewhere in her 60s, with grey hair pulled back tight and eyes that narrow when they walk in. "You the ones who bought the Brandt place," she says. It is not a question. Marin nods. "We are," the woman's mouth tightens. She rings up their purchases in silence. Canned food, batteries, candles, cleaning supplies. When Marin hands her cash, the woman finally speaks again. "No one stayed a winter there." "Excuse me?" "The Brandt place. Every family that tried left before the snow came. Some before that." She slides the change across the counter without looking at them. "House doesn't want people." Liam forces a smile. "We're not superstitious." The woman looks at him then, something like pity in her eyes. "Doesn't matter what you believe. Some things just are." They drive back in silence, the truck's headlights cutting through fog so thick it feels like driving through water. Marin's hands grip the steering wheel too tight. She does not believe in haunted houses. She does not believe in curses. She believes in rot and neglect, and the way places fall apart when no one cares for them. But the woman's words echo in her head. House doesn't want people. When they pull up to the farmhouse, Sadie is waiting on the porch, shivering. Marin wraps her in a blanket and brings her inside. The dog follows her to the kitchen, but stops at the threshold, ears flat and will not cross. Liam builds a fire in the living room fireplace. They eat cold sandwiches and drink instant coffee heated over the flames. The house creaks around them, settling in the cold. Marin tries to tell herself it is normal. Old houses make noise, but every creak sounds deliberate, like footsteps, like someone walking just out of sight. Before bed, Marin takes a flashlight and walks the perimeter of the property, checking the fence line, looking for gaps where Sadie might escape. Near the back corner of the house, she finds an old wooden sign, half buried in weeds. She pulls it free, brushing away dirt and moss. The paint is faded, but she can still make out the words, "For sale, contact E. Brandt." The name is carved faintly beneath the printed text, like someone added it by hand years later. Marin runs her thumb over the letters. E. Brandt, the previous owner. The woman who lived here for 40 years and died alone. Marin carries the sign back to the house and props it against the wall inside the front door. She stares at it for a long time, wondering what kind of person stays in a place like this for 4 decades. What kind of person refuses to leave, even when the house is falling down around them? She thinks about her own life, her own refusal to let go. The story she published, the one that destroyed a family business and her career along with it. She had believed she was uncovering the truth. She had believed truth mattered more than anything. But the truth had been wrong, incomplete, a half-story that ruined lives, and she had run here to this house, hoping that distance would make the guilt smaller. But standing in the dark, staring at a dead woman's name carved into wood, Marin understands that some things follow you no matter how far you go. Upstairs, Liam is already asleep, his breathing steady in the small bedroom they cleared out. Marin lies awake in her sleeping bag, listening to the house, listening to the wind outside, listening to Sadie, who has finally come upstairs but lies at the door instead of beside her, watchful and alert, and somewhere below them, beneath the kitchen floor, the hollow space waits. Morning comes grey and cold. Marin wakes to the sound of rain drumming against the roof, a steady rhythm that makes the house feel smaller, more closed in. She dresses in layers, flannel shirt, sweater, work pants, and goes downstairs to find Liam already in the kitchen, heating water on a camping stove they set up on the counter. "Coffee?" he asks. "Please." They drink it black, standing by the window, watching rain streak down the glass. The backyard is barely visible through the fog. Shapes that might be trees or shadows or something else blur together in the mist. "I'm going to start on the roof today," Liam says. "If the rain stops." "Need to patch the worst spots before it gets colder," Marin nods. "I'll clean out the front rooms. See what's salvageable." "Marin," he turns to face her, his expression serious. "We can do this. Restore this place. Make it good." She hears what he is really saying. "We can start over. We can be okay." "I know," she says, though she's not sure she believes it. They work through the morning. Marin drags furniture out onto the porch. Chairs with broken legs, tables scarred with water damage, a sofa that collapses in on itself when she tries to move it. She sweeps decades of dust and debris into piles. She finds things left behind: a child's shoe, a rusted pair of scissors, photographs so faded the faces are barely visible. In the corner of the front room, beneath a pile of newspapers, she finds a trunk. It is small, wooden, with brass corners tarnished black with age. The lock is broken. Marin kneels beside it and lifts the lid carefully. Inside are papers, letters, a Bible with a name inscribed on the first page in careful script: Evelyn Brandt. Marin touches the name with her fingertips, feeling the indentation of the pen. Evelyn E. Brandt. She lifts out the Bible and sets it aside. Beneath it are envelopes, some opened, some still sealed. Most are addressed to E. Brandt at this address. Bills, notices, a letter from a lawyer dated 1979, informing her that the property taxes are overdue. But at the bottom of the trunk, Marin finds an envelope that is different. It is thick, sealed with wax that has cracked but not broken. And on the front, in handwriting that matches the Bible, are the words, "To anyone who finds this house." Marin's hands shake as she picks it up. She should call Liam, she should wait. But something compels her to break the seal now, alone. In the dim grey light of the front room, the letter inside is written on yellowed paper, the handwriting cramped and uneven, like it was written by someone whose hand was shaking. To anyone who finds this house, I do not know who you are or when you will read this. Perhaps no one ever will. Perhaps this house will stand empty until it falls, and my words will rot with it. But if you are reading this, you have chosen to come here. You have chosen to stay. And I must warn you, not out of fear, but out of mercy. Do not open what is beneath. I know curiosity is a powerful thing. I know the need to understand can drive a person to madness. But some things are buried for a reason. Some truths do not heal. They only spread like rot, like infection, consuming everything they touch. I have lived in this house for 40 years. I've prayed every day for forgiveness. I have locked what cannot be forgiven beneath stone and wood and silence. It is safe there. It will remain safe so long as no one disturbs it. Do not dig. Do not question. Do not seek to uncover what I have spent my life concealing. If you are kind, you will seal this house and walk away. If you are wise, you will never speak of what I have written. But if you are like me, if you are cursed with the need to know, then God help you. You will understand, in the end, why mercy is sometimes found in silence. Evelyn Brandt Marin reads the letter twice, then a third time. Her pulse hammers in her throat. She thinks about the hollow space beneath the kitchen floor, the way Sadie refused to go near it, the clerk in town saying no one stayed a winter there. She folds the letter carefully and slides it back into the envelope. Her journalist's instinct is awake now, sharp and hungry. This is a story, a mystery, something buried, literally, metaphorically, that no one else has uncovered. But another part of her, the part that remembers the consequences of her last investigation, whispers, "Let it go. Seal it back up. Walk away, Marin." She looks up to find Liam standing in the doorway, soaked from the rain, holding a toolbox. He looks at the trunk, at the envelope in her hands. "What's that?" "A letter." She hands it to him. "From the woman who lived here. Evelyn Brandt." He reads it in silence, his expression darkening. When he finishes, he folds it back up and sets it on the mantel. "Superstition, is it?" "Marin." He wipes rain from his face. "This woman lived alone for 40 years. She was probably paranoid, scared. People like that, they see danger everywhere. It doesn't mean there's anything actually wrong with this house. Then why does Sadie refuse to go in the kitchen? Because she's a dog. Dogs are weird, but Marin hears the doubt in his voice. She picks up the Bible, flipping through the pages. Verses are underlined. Notes are scrawled in the margins. She finds a passage in Psalms, circled in red ink. "The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray from birth, speaking lies." Beside it, in Evelyn's handwriting, "Not wicked, just human." "God forgive me," Liam, Marin says quietly. "What if she killed someone?" He stares at her. What? What if that's what's beneath the kitchen? What if she buried someone under this house, and that's why she never left? That's why no one else stayed? That's insane, is it? She says, "Do not open what is beneath." She talks about forgiveness, about sealing something away. And she lived here alone for 40 years, never selling, never leaving. Liam shakes his head. "You're doing it again. Doing what?" "Building a story where there isn't one. Connecting dots that don't connect. You did this before, Marin, and it destroyed everything." The words hit like a slap. Marin's jaw tightens. "That was different, was it?" They stare at each other in the grey light. Finally, Liam picks up his toolbox. "I'm going to fix the roof. You do whatever you want. But if you start tearing up the kitchen floor looking for ghosts, I'm leaving." He walks out, and the door slams behind him. Marin stands alone in the front room, holding a dead woman's Bible, feeling the weight of her cousin's words. He is right. She knows he is right. She has always been too quick to believe in stories, too hungry for the narrative beneath the surface. It is what made her a good journalist, and it is what made her careless. But the letter is real. The hollow space beneath the kitchen is real. And Evelyn Brandt's fear, written in shaking handwriting 40 years ago, is real. Marin sets the Bible down and walks to the kitchen. She stands in the center of the room, on the spot where the floor sounds hollow. Sadie is lying in the doorway, watching her with dark, unblinking eyes. "What's down there, girl?" Marin whispers. The dog does not move. That afternoon, the rain stops. The clouds part just enough to let through weak sunlight, turning the fog gold. Marin opens the windows to let in fresh air, and the wind rushes through the house, scattering the papers she left on the mantel. They flutter across the room like birds, landing in piles near the fireplace, near the door. Beneath the portrait of the severe-looking woman, Marin gathers them up, smoothing out the wrinkles, stacking them carefully. And that is when she notices something. The floorboards in the kitchen, beneath the linoleum, are lighter than the rest of the house, newer, like they were replaced long after the house was built. She kneels down, running her hands over the surface, feeling for seams. The linoleum is brittle, cracked in places, and when she peels back a corner, she can see the wood beneath. It is pine, not oak like the rest of the house, and the nails holding it down are newer, machine-made. Not the hand-forged nails she has seen elsewhere. Someone sealed this floor deliberately. Someone replaced the boards, covered them with linoleum, and left them to be forgotten. That night, Marin cannot sleep. She lies in her sleeping bag, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house creak and settle. Liam is asleep in the next room, his breathing steady and deep. Sadie is curled at the foot of Marin's bed, her ears twitching at every sound. The wind picks up around midnight, rattling the windows. And then, somewhere downstairs, something crashes. Marin sits up, heart pounding. She grabs her flashlight and creeps to the door. The hallway is dark, but she can hear it. Glass breaking, paper rustling, the wind howling through the house like something alive. She goes downstairs slowly, the flashlight beam bouncing ahead of her. The front door has blown open, hanging on its hinges, swinging back and forth. The windows are open too, and the wind is tearing through the rooms, scattering everything she cleaned today. Papers whirl in the air like snow. The portrait above the fireplace has fallen, its frame cracked, the woman's face staring up at the ceiling. Marin fights her way to the front door and slams it shut, throwing the bolt. She closes the windows one by one, her hands shaking. And when the wind finally dies down, when the house goes still again, she stands in the kitchen, breathing hard. Sadie is there in the doorway, pacing back and forth, whining low in her throat. Her paws scrape at the linoleum, digging, scratching, like she's trying to uncover something. "Sadie, stop." But the dog will not stop. She digs harder, her claws tearing through the brittle material, exposing the wood beneath. And Marin sees it then, in the beam of her flashlight, a seam in the floorboards, a line where the wood does not quite meet, a gap no wider than a fingernail. Marin kneels down beside the dog. Her hands are shaking. She presses her palm against the floor, feeling for the hollow space beneath. And when she does, she hears it, a faint draft rising from below, cold, smelling of earth and iron and something else. Something old. She thinks of Evelyn Brandt's letter. "Do not open what is beneath." She thinks of Liam's warning. "You're doing it again." But she also thinks of the truth, the need to know, the hunger that has always driven her, that has always been both her greatest strength and her greatest flaw. And as Sadie scratches at the floor, Marin makes her choice. Morning comes too bright. The sun cutting through the fog, like it is trying to burn away the secrets buried in the valley. Marin wakes with her back aching, still dressed in yesterday's clothes, and realizes she fell asleep on the kitchen floor. Sadie is curled beside her, ears flat, watching the spot where the linoleum is torn. The seam in the floorboards is still there. Marin had hoped in the irrational way of the exhausted that maybe she imagined it, that the wind and the dark played tricks on her mind. But in the daylight, the line is unmistakable. Someone cut through the floor deliberately. Someone sealed something beneath. Liam comes downstairs and stops in the doorway when he sees her. "You slept down here?" "I didn't mean to." He looks at the torn linoleum, at Sadie's claw marks, at the seam Marin has been staring at for the past hour. His jaw tightens. Marin, don't! I have to know. No, you don't. He crouches beside her, his voice low and urgent. We came here to start over, to fix this place and make it ours. We didn't come here to dig up someone else's past. What if it's our past too? Marin hears herself say it before she knows what she means. But the words feel true. She thinks of her mother, who never spoke about this side of the family. She thinks of the way her grandmother would go silent whenever Pennsylvania was mentioned. My mother grew up near here, Liam. What if we're connected to this place? To Evelyn Brandt? That's a stretch, is it? She pulls the Bible from where she left it on the counter, flipping to the inside cover. There, beneath Evelyn's name, is a faint inscription in different handwriting, given by Margaret, 1936. Margaret was my grandmother's name. Liam's face pales. He takes the Bible from her, staring at the inscription. That doesn't mean anything. Margaret's a common name, maybe, but what if it's not a coincidence? Before he can answer, there is a knock at the front door, sharp, official. They exchange a glance, and Liam stands, walking to answer it. Marin follows, Sadie at her heels. A man stands on the porch, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a deputy's uniform. He is somewhere in his late 40s, with a weathered face and eyes that take in every detail of the house, the property, and them. You the new owners? We are, Liam says carefully. Deputy Coulter Vance. He does not offer his hand. Heard there were people at the Brandt place. Wanted to make sure everything's all right. We're fine, Marin says, stepping forward. Just settling in. Vance's gaze shifts to her, appraising. Settling in. That's what they all say. Excuse me? Every family that tries to live here, they say they're settling in. Then they leave. Usually before the first month's out. He hooks his thumbs in his belt, his tone conversational, but his eyes hard. House has a way of making people uncomfortable. We're not easily spooked, Liam says, forcing a smile. Vance does not smile back. Didn't say anything about ghosts. Just said it makes people uncomfortable. There's a difference. Marin feels Sadie press against her leg, a low growl rumbling in the dog's chest. Vance glances down at the animal and something flickers across his face. Recognition, or maybe caution. You planning on doing any renovations? He asks. Roof repairs, Liam says. Maybe the plumbing, why? Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. No, back to the story, just wondering. Vance shifts his weight, his gaze drifting past them, toward the interior of the house. Brandt Place's basement ain't fit for the living. If you're smart, you'll leave it sealed. Marin's pulse quickens. The basement. Storm cellar, technically, built into the foundation. But it's been locked up since before I was born. Every inspector who's looked at this property says the same thing. Don't go down there. Structural integrity's compromised. Flooding. Could collapse at any moment. He says it like a warning. Like he is giving them a way out of something they have not even stumbled into yet. We'll keep that in mind, Marin says evenly. Vance's eyes narrow. Will you? The challenge hangs in the air. Finally, Vance tips his head in something that might be a nod. Well, you need anything, station's in town. Try not to cause any trouble out here. He walks back to his patrol car, gets in, and drives away slowly. His eyes on the house until he disappears into the fog. Liam closes the door and turns to Marin. That was strange. He knows something, or he's just a small-town cop who doesn't like outsiders. Did you see the way he looked at the house? At Sadie? Marin paces the front room, her mind racing. He mentioned the basement before we did, before we even asked. He came out here specifically to warn us not to open it. Maybe that's good advice. Or maybe he's scared of what's down there. Liam rubs his face, exhausted. Marin, please, can we focus on fixing the roof? On making this place livable? Can we have one normal day without digging into mysteries that aren't ours to solve? She wants to say yes. She wants to be the person who can let things go, who can live on the surface of the world and be content. But she has never been that person. And standing here in this house that hums with secrets, she knows she cannot start now. I'm going to open it, she says quietly. Liam stares at her. What? The cellar, the storm cellar. Whatever's under the kitchen floor, I'm going to open it. Marin, you can leave if you want. I won't hold it against you, but I have to know what's down there. His expression shifts through anger, frustration, and finally resignation. You're going to do this, no matter what I say, aren't you? Yes. He is quiet for a long moment. Then he sighs. Fine, but we do it carefully. We check the structure first. We don't take stupid risks. Relief floods through her. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If we find anything at all, we call the police. Deal. Deal. They spend the afternoon clearing the kitchen, moving everything off the linoleum, exposing the full extent of the newer floorboards. The seam runs in a rough rectangle, about 4 feet by 3 feet. Liam pries up one of the boards carefully, and they see it beneath, a metal hatch, rusted red with age, sealed with a heavy bolt. Sadie backs away, whining. The hatch is cold to the touch. Marin runs her fingers over the bolt, feeling the rust flake away under her hand. There is a chain wrapped around it, thick links corroded but still intact. Someone went to great lengths to keep this sealed. It's going to take a bolt cutter, Liam says, or a hacksaw. They drive into town again, to the hardware store this time. The clerk is an old man who does not ask questions, just rings up their purchase and hands over the receipt. But when they get back to the truck, Marin sees Deputy Vance's patrol car parked across the street watching them. They do not speak on the drive back. That night, Marin dreams. She is in the kitchen, but it is not the kitchen as it is now. It is clean, well lit, with curtains on the windows and a table set for 2. A woman stands at the sink washing dishes, humming softly. She is small, with dark hair pinned back, wearing a dress that belongs to another era. The woman turns, and Marin recognizes her from the portrait. Evelyn Brandt. Younger but unmistakable. You shouldn't be here, Evelyn says. Her voice soft. I need to know what you buried. No, you don't. Evelyn dries her hands on a towel, her movements slow and deliberate. You think you do. You think the truth will set you free. But some truths are chains. I'm not afraid. Evelyn smiles, sad and knowing. Then you are a fool. The dream shifts. The kitchen darkens. The floor beneath Marin's feet cracks open, and she is falling into cold earth and deeper darkness, and she can hear Evelyn whispering, God help you. God help you. God help you. Marin wakes to Sadie barking. Sharp, frantic barks that echo through the house. She grabs her flashlight and runs downstairs, heart pounding. Sadie is in the kitchen, standing over the hatch, her fur bristled, her teeth bared. The dog is staring at the metal surface like it is moving, like something beneath is trying to get out. Sadie, it's okay. But the dog will not stop barking. Liam appears in the doorway, bleary-eyed. What's going on? I don't know. She won't stop. Liam approaches slowly, kneeling beside the hatch. He presses his ear against the metal, listening. For a moment, everything is silent. Then he jerks back, eyes wide. Did you hear that? Hear what? Something moving. Down there, Marin listens. At first there is nothing. Then faint and distant she hears it. A soft scraping sound, like something dragging across stone. It's probably just rats, Liam says. But his voice is shaking. Rats, Marin repeats, trying to believe it, but Sadie will not stop barking. And the scraping sound continues, slow and deliberate, like whatever is down there knows they are listening. And somewhere in the back of her mind, Marin hears Evelyn's voice from the dream, clear as if the woman is standing beside her. Do not open what is beneath, but it is too late for warnings. The bolt cutter is in the corner waiting. The chain is ready to break, and Marin knows, with the certainty of the damned, that tomorrow she will open the hatch. Whatever lies beneath is no longer just Evelyn's secret. It is hers now too. Rain comes in the morning and does not stop. It hammers the roof, floods the gutters, turns the yard into mud. Marin stands at the kitchen window, watching water pour down the glass, distorting the world beyond into shapes that might be trees or might be something else. Liam is upstairs, patching a leak in the bedroom ceiling. She can hear him moving above her, the creak of floorboards, the sound of his hammer striking nails. They have not opened the hatch yet. The bolt cutter sits in the corner where Liam left it, untouched. They made an unspoken agreement to wait, though neither of them said why. Maybe because opening it feels like crossing a line they cannot uncross. Maybe because the scraping sound from 2 nights ago has not repeated, and they are both pretending it never happened. But Marin cannot stop thinking about Evelyn Brandt, cannot stop imagining the woman living here alone for 40 years, keeping whatever secret lies beneath the kitchen floor. She thinks about the letter, the warning, "Do not open what is beneath," and she wonders what kind of guilt would drive someone to seal themselves in with their sins. The rain traps them inside. Marin spends the afternoon exploring the house, room by room, looking for anything else Evelyn might have left behind. She finds a closet in the upstairs hallway, door stuck shut with swollen wood. It takes her 10 minutes to force it open. Inside, stacked neatly on shelves, are boxes. Cardboard warped with moisture, labels written in faded ink. Receipts 1965-1970, tax records, correspondence, and at the bottom, wrapped in a moth-eaten blanket, a stack of journals. Marin carries them downstairs, her hands shaking. She spreads them out on the kitchen table. 5 journals in all, bound in cracked leather, pages yellowed and brittle. She opens the first one, dated 1938, and begins to read. Evelyn's handwriting is neat at first. The entries are mundane. March 12th, planted tomatoes. Harold fixed the fence by the north field. Chicken stew for supper. Simple domestic details, the life of a farm wife in rural Pennsylvania. But as Marin reads on, the tone shifts. June 4th. Harold is drinking again. Says the farm is failing. Says we should sell and move to the city. But this land is all we have. All I have left of Mother. July 19th. He came home angry tonight. Threw a plate. Said I was holding him back. Said I was the reason he couldn't be anything more than a farmer. I prayed for patience. God give me strength. September 3rd. I found it today. The thing I have been searching for. God help me. I should have left it buried. Marin's breath catches. She reads the entry again. I found it today. The same words from the writing style example. The story about the brothers and the cabin. But this is real. This is Evelyn's voice, reaching across decades. The next entries are erratic, the handwriting slanted and desperate. September 5th. Harold wants to dig it up. Wants to take it into town, sell it, use the money to leave this place. I told him no. Told him some things are meant to stay in the ground. He called me a fool. September 8th. We fought. He said terrible things. Said I was superstitious, that I was keeping us poor out of fear. He said he would dig it up himself if I wouldn't help him. September 11th. The earth keeps him now. The earth keeps him. God forgive me. God forgive me. God forgive me. The rest of the page is blank. The next entry is dated 3 months later, December 2nd. No one has come. No one has asked. The town thinks he left me. Ran off to the city like so many men do. And I let them believe it. Because the truth is worse than any lie. Marin closes the journal, her hands trembling. Liam comes downstairs, sees her face. What is it? She hands him the journal, open to September 11th. He reads it slowly, his expression darkening. When he finishes, he sets it down carefully, like it might break. You think she killed him? I think she's saying she did, or she's crazy. Grief does strange things to people. Liam, she writes about finding something. About Harold wanting to dig it up. Then he disappears, and she says the earth keeps him. Marin's voice rises. What else could that mean? It could mean a lot of things. Metaphor, symbolism. She was religious. Maybe she's talking about burial, about letting go. But even as he says it, Marin can see he does not believe it. Neither of them do. She opens the next journal, skipping ahead to 1940. The entries are shorter now, more fragmented. I see him in my dreams. He stands by the tree. He asks why. I have no answer. The tree. Marin flips through pages, looking for more references. And then she finds it, a photograph tucked between the pages, edges curled with age. It shows Evelyn and a man standing in the backyard. He is tall, broad-shouldered, with a stern face and hands shoved in his pockets. Evelyn stands beside him, small and solemn, her eyes fixed on something beyond the camera. Behind them is a tree, massive and old, its branches spreading like cracks across the sky. Marin holds the photograph up to the window, studying it in the grey light. And that is when she sees it. A faint shadow at the base of the tree, near Harold's boots. The ground there looks disturbed, darker than the soil around it. Like something has been dug up and filled in again. Liam, look at this. He takes the photograph, squinting at the shadow. Could be anything. A hole for planting. A burrow. Or a grave. Marin, that tree is still standing. I saw it from the kitchen window. We can check. We can see if the ground's been disturbed. And if it has been, what then? We call the police and tell them we think a woman who died 40 years ago murdered her husband and buried him in the backyard. Liam sets the photograph down, frustration bleeding into his voice. This isn't a story you can publish. This isn't an investigation. It's just a sad woman's delusions, written in a diary no one was supposed to find. But Marin is already moving toward the back door, pulling on her rain jacket. I need to see. Marin, it's pouring. Then stay inside. She steps out into the rain, Sadie at her heels. The dog has been restless all day, pacing between the kitchen and the back door, whining low in her throat. Now she bolts ahead, running toward the tree, her paws kicking up mud. The tree is exactly where it was in the photograph, ancient and gnarled, its trunk thick as a car. The rain has turned the ground beneath it into a swamp. Marin kneels down, pressing her hands into the mud, feeling for anything solid beneath. And there, her fingers brush against something hard. A stone. No, not a stone. Something metal. She digs faster, pulling away handfuls of mud, and Sadie joins her, clawing at the earth with frantic energy. They dig until Marin's arms ache, until the rain soaks through her clothes, until finally they uncover it. A rusted metal box, no bigger than a shoebox. Its hinges corroded and broken. Marin pulls it free, her breath coming in gasps. She sits back in the mud, holding the box in her lap, and forces the lid open. Inside, wrapped in rotted cloth, are objects. A typewriter ribbon, the fabric disintegrated. A handful of coins, tarnished black. And beneath them, a piece of paper folded small and tight. Marin unfolds it carefully. The ink has bled, but she can still read the words, written in Evelyn's shaking hand. My dearest H, I never meant to. It was an accident. You must believe me. The iron poker was in my hand, and you were shouting, and I swung without thinking. I only wanted you to stop. To stop talking about leaving, about digging, about destroying the only home I have ever known. But you fell. You fell so hard. And when I knelt beside you, there was blood. So much blood I could not call for help. Could not confess. Could not let the town know what I had done. So I buried you beneath the kitchen. Beneath the place where we ate and prayed and promised to love each other until death. I am sorry. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. The letter ends there, unfinished. Marin stares at the words until they blur. Rain runs down her face, mixing with something that might be tears. She thinks about her own past. The story she published. The family she destroyed because she thought truth mattered more than mercy. Liam appears beside her, soaked and furious. Marin, come inside. You're going to make yourself sick. She hands him the letter without speaking. He reads it, his face going pale. When he finishes, he crumples the paper in his fist. We have to stop this. Right now. Stop what? Digging, obsessing. We have to seal the hatch and leave this alone. We can't. Yes, we can. This woman died decades ago. Her husband died decades ago. Whatever happened here is over. It's done. And we don't have to unearth it. But Marin is already walking back to the house, the rusted box under her arm. Sadie follows her, then stops halfway, turning back toward the tree. The dog stands in the rain, staring at the disturbed earth and howls. It is a sound Marin has never heard her make before. A sound of mourning. Of warning night falls, and the house feels smaller, colder. Marin sits at the kitchen table, the rusted box in front of her, and reads Evelyn's unfinished confession over and over. Liam has not spoken to her since they came inside. He's upstairs, moving things around, and Marin knows he is packing. Preparing to leave, she cannot blame him. She would leave too if she could, but something holds her here. Some compulsion that feels less like curiosity now and more like obligation. like Evelyn's guilt has transferred to her, an inheritance she did not ask for, but cannot refuse. The typewriter ribbon in the box is too damaged to read, but Marin holds it anyway, feeling the weight of it. She imagines Evelyn typing letters to her dead husband, pouring out confessions she could never send. She imagines the woman living alone for 40 years, praying for forgiveness that never came. Sadie is at the back door, scratching to go out. Marin opens it and the dog bolts into the dark, running toward the tree again. Marin watches her through the window, a pale shape moving through the fog. And then Sadie stops, stands rigid, and starts digging. "No," Marin whispers. "Not again." But she grabs her flashlight and goes outside anyway, her boots sinking into mud. Sadie has dug a new hole, deeper this time, a few feet from where they dug earlier. The dog is frantic, clawing at something beneath the surface. Marin kneels beside her, shining the light down, and sees it bone, not Harold's. Too small. Animal, maybe. Or the thought stops her cold. She thinks about Evelyn's letter. "I buried you," beneath the kitchen. And she thinks about the hatch, the sealed cellar that no one has opened in 50 years. What if Harold is not under the tree? What if he is still beneath the kitchen floor? A sound makes her look up. The back door of the house has swung open, though she is certain she closed it. Light spills out into the yard, warm and inviting, but something about it feels wrong. Marin stands slowly, her pulse hammering, and walks back toward the house. Inside, the kitchen is exactly as she left it. The journals on the table, the rusted box, the hatch in the floor still sealed. But as she steps closer, she hears it, a sound from below. Faint, deliberate, the scraping of metal on stone. Then as she stands frozen, the bolt on the hatch shifts, just slightly, like something beneath is testing the weight of it. Marin backs away, her breath coming in short gasps. "Liam!" He appears at the top of the stairs, his face tight with anger. "What now?" "The hatch. It's moving. It's not moving. It's been sealed for 50 years. Liam, I swear to God it's—" And then, with a sound like a sigh, the bolt slides free. The chain rattles loose, falling to the floor in a heap of rusted links. The hatch lifts an inch, then falls back like something tried to push it open and failed. Liam runs down the stairs, staring at the hatch. "That's not possible." "I know. The chain was solid. I checked it myself. I know." They stand in silence, watching the hatch, waiting, but nothing else happens. The house is quiet. The scraping sound has stopped. Sadie appears in the doorway, her fur matted with mud, and whines softly. Liam picks up the bolt cutter from the corner. "We're opening it. Right now." "What?" "You said—" "I know what I said. But if something's down there, if there's a body or evidence or whatever this is, we need to know. We need to stop wondering and just know." His hands are shaking as he positions the cutter over the remaining bolt. "And then we call the police. We tell them everything. And we let them deal with it." Marin wants to argue, wants to tell him to wait. But she knows he is right. The not knowing is worse than any truth could be. He cuts through the bolt with a single hard squeeze. The metal snaps and the hatch is free. They stare at it for a long moment, neither of them willing to be the first to lift it. Finally, Marin kneels down and grips the handle. The metal is ice cold, colder than it should be. She pulls, and the hatch opens with a groan of rusted hinges. The smell hits them first. Earth and mold and something else, something chemical and wrong. Marin shines her flashlight down into the opening, and the beam catches on darkness. A hole, maybe 6 feet deep, with stone walls and a dirt floor, and at the bottom a trunk, not a grave, not bones, just a trunk, old and water-damaged, sitting in the center of the cellar like it has been waiting for them. "That's it?" Liam says, his voice hollow with relief. "That's what she was so afraid of." But Marin feels no relief, because she knows, with cold certainty, that whatever is inside that trunk is worse than bones. Marin climbs down alone. Liam offers to go first, but she shakes her head. This is her obsession, her need. If there is a price to pay for opening what Evelyn sealed, Marin will be the one to pay it. The ladder is old, the rungs slick with moisture. She descends carefully, her flashlight clamped between her teeth. The walls are stone, hand-laid, probably the original foundation of the house. The air is cold and damp, and with every breath Marin tastes decay. Her boots hit the floor, and she steadies herself. The trunk sits in the center of the small space, about 4 feet long and 2 feet wide. The wood is dark with age, and the clasp is rusted but intact. Marin kneels beside it, her hands hovering over the lid. Above her, Liam's voice is tense. "What do you see?" "A trunk, locked. Can you open it?" She tugs at the clasp, and it breaks easily, the metal crumbling in her hand. She takes a breath and lifts the lid. Inside are papers, hundreds of them. Letters, all written in Evelyn's hand, all addressed to Harold. Marin pulls one out, unfolding it carefully. "My dearest Harold, it has been 2 years since you left me. 2 years since I buried my sin beneath this house. I write to you every day, though I know you cannot read these words. I write because I must. Because confession is the only prayer I have left. I dream of you often. You stand in the kitchen, your face shadowed, and you ask me why. I never have an answer. Only silence. Only shame. Forgive me. Forgive me. Forgive me." Marin's hands shake as she sets the letter aside and reaches for another. They are all the same. Confessions written over decades, never sent, sealed away in the dark, like sins too heavy to carry. And at the bottom of the trunk, wrapped in cloth, is a ring. Gold, tarnished black, with an inscription inside. H&E, 1935. Marin holds it up to the light, and something breaks inside her. She thinks about Evelyn, living alone in this house for 40 years, writing letters to a dead man, keeping his ring as a token of guilt and love intertwined. She thinks about her own life, the story she published, the family she destroyed, the way she has carried her own guilt like a chain around her neck, dragging her down, drowning her. She sits in the cold cellar, surrounded by a dead woman's confessions, and weeps. Great, shaking sobs that echo off the stone walls. Because she understands now. Understands why Evelyn sealed this place. Understands why she warned others not to open it. Not because it was dangerous, but because it was true, and truth, once unearthed, cannot be buried again. Above her, Sadie is barking. Frantic, desperate barks that cut through Marin's grief. She looks up, squinting into the light from the kitchen, and sees Liam's face, pale and stricken. "Marin, get out of there. Now." "What?" "Why?" "Because the floor is cracking." She looks down and sees it. Hairline fractures spreading across the dirt floor, radiating out from where she kneels. The earth beneath the cellar is unstable, shifting, and the weight of the trunk, the ladder, her own body, it is all too much. Marin scrambles to her feet, grabbing the ring and one of the letters, shoving them into her pocket. She climbs the ladder as fast as she can, Liam reaching down to pull her up the last few feet. They collapse on the kitchen floor together, breathing hard, as the cellar groans beneath them. And then, with a sound like a sigh, the floor of the cellar collapses. The trunk falls through into darkness below, taking Evelyn's letters with it. Dust rises in a cloud, thick and choking, and when it finally settles, the cellar is a hole. Just a hole. Empty. Hollow. Like it was never meant to hold anything at all. Marin lies on her back, staring at the ceiling, her hands blackened with soil and ink. Liam sits beside her, his face grey with shock. "It's done," he says. "It's over," but Marin knows it is not, because she still has the ring in her pocket. She still has the letter, and she still has the truth, incomplete and terrible, burning in her mind like a fever. She thinks about Evelyn's warning. Do not open what is beneath. And she understands now that the warning was not about the cellar, it was about the truth itself. Morning comes, but the light feels wrong. Marin sits at the kitchen table, staring at the hole where the hatch used to be. Liam has covered it with plywood, nailed down and sealed. He wants to pour concrete over it, wants to bury the cellar forever. But Marin cannot let it go. She has the ring. She has one of Evelyn's letters. And she knows now what happened in this house. Harold Brandt did not leave his wife. He did not run off to the city. Evelyn killed him in a moment of rage, a moment of fear, and buried him to protect her reputation. And she lived with that guilt until it consumed her. But where is the body? The cellar was empty except for the trunk. If Harold is buried beneath the kitchen, where is he? Liam comes downstairs, his face tight. "I'm leaving!" Marin looks up, startled. "What?" I packed my things. "I'm driving back to the city today." He does not look at her. "You can stay if you want, but I can't do this anymore. Liam, please. You said you came here to start over, to rebuild. But all you've done is dig. Dig into the past. Dig into this dead woman's secrets. Dig until everything collapses." His voice breaks. "I thought I could help you. I thought maybe if I was here, you'd stop destroying yourself. But I was wrong. I'm not destroying myself. I'm trying to understand." "Understand what? That a woman killed her husband 70 years ago? That she lived with guilt and died alone? What good does that do you? What good does it do anyone?" He finally looks at her and his eyes are red. "This isn't about Evelyn. It's about you. It's about the story you published, the family you ruined, the guilt you can't let go of. And you think if you solve this mystery, if you uncover this truth, it'll somehow make up for what you did. But it won't, Marin. It never will." The words hit like fists. Marin wants to argue, wants to deny it, but she cannot. Because he is right. She has been using Evelyn's story as a mirror, seeing her own reflection in every confession, every buried sin. "I have to write about it," she says quietly. "I have to tell the truth." "Why?" "Because someone has to. Because Evelyn's story deserves to be known. Because you need a spotlight." Liam picks up his bag. "That's what this is really about. You lost your career, your reputation, and now you found another story you can break. Another truth you can expose. And you don't care who it hurts, as long as you're the one telling it. That's not fair, isn't it?" He walks to the door, then stops. "Deputy Vance's father disappeared the same year Harold did. Did you know that? Vance told me yesterday when I saw him in town. His father worked on this farm, and one day he just vanished. No note, no goodbye. Just gone." Liam's voice is cold now. "So if you publish this story, if you tell the world that Evelyn Brandt was a murderer, you're not just exposing her. You're destroying what's left of Vance's family too. You're digging up pain that's been buried for a reason." Marin stands, her legs shaking. "I didn't know. You didn't care to know. You never do." Liam opens the door. "I'll keep paying my half of the mortgage for 6 months. After that, the house is yours. Do whatever you want with it." He walks out and the door closes behind him. Marin stands alone in the kitchen, listening to his truck start, listening to the tires crunch on gravel, listening to the sound of him leaving her behind. Sadie whines softly, pressing against her leg. Marin kneels down, burying her face in the dog's fur, and for the first time since she arrived at this house, she lets herself cry. Not for Evelyn, not for Harold, but for herself. For the person she used to be. For the person she might have been if she had learned when to stop digging. That afternoon, she sits at the kitchen table with a notebook and a pen. She writes everything. Evelyn's confession. The buried box beneath the tree. The trunk in the cellar. The ring with its inscription. She writes until her hand cramps, until the shadows grow long across the floor, and when she finishes, she reads it over. It is a good story, a compelling story. The kind of story that would have made her career if she had found it 5 years ago. The kind of truth that destroys and illuminates in equal measure. She thinks about Liam's words. You don't care who it hurts, as long as you're the one telling it. She thinks about Deputy Vance, about his father who disappeared, about the possibility that Evelyn did not just kill Harold, that maybe she buried 2 men beneath this house. 2 secrets. 2 sins. Marin picks up the telephone. She dials the number for the local newspaper, the one she found in a drawer downstairs. A woman answers, bored and distracted. Valley Register. "I have a story," Marin says, "about the Brandt farmhouse. About what happened here in 1938. The woman's tone sharpens. "Go on." Marin opens her mouth to speak, to tell the truth. To do what she has always done. Expose, illuminate, force the world to see what it would rather ignore. But then she stops, because she hears it, faint, almost imperceptible. The sound of typing. The click, click, click of typewriter keys coming from somewhere in the house. "Hello?" The woman on the phone says. "Are you still there?" Marin hangs up slowly. She follows the sound to the living room, where she finds it. An old typewriter sitting on a side table covered in dust. And as she watches, the keys move on their own, one letter at a time, slow, deliberate, DOWHATICOULDNOT, the keys stop. The house goes silent. Marin stares at the words, her breath caught in her throat, and she understands. Evelyn is still here, still trying to confess, still trying to speak the truth she sealed away for 40 years. But Evelyn's message is not a plea for exposure. It is a warning to stop. Marin spends the next 3 days reading every letter she can salvage. The cellar collapse destroyed most of the trunk's contents, but she managed to grab a handful of papers before the floor gave way. She spreads them across the kitchen table in chronological order, piecing together Evelyn's confession one fragment at a time. The story that emerges is worse than she imagined. Harold did not die in a single moment of rage. He died slowly, over hours, bleeding out in the kitchen while Evelyn panicked and prayed. She had struck him with the fire poker during an argument about money, about leaving, about the thing he wanted to dig up from beneath the old oak tree. He fell hard, his head cracking against the stone hearth. And instead of calling for help, instead of trying to save him, Evelyn had frozen, paralyzed by fear of scandal, of judgment, of losing the only home she had ever known. By the time she finally moved, Harold was already dead, but that was not the worst part. The worst part was what came after. In a letter dated October 1938, Evelyn writes about the man who helped her, a farmhand named Thomas Vance. He had been working on the property that day, had heard the argument, had come to the house when the shouting stopped. And he had found Evelyn kneeling in blood, whispering prayers over her husband's body. Thomas had not called the police. He had not run for help. Instead, he had helped her dig, had helped her break through the kitchen floor, hollow out a space beneath the foundation, and lower Harold's body into the earth, had helped her seal it over with new boards and linoleum, had helped her bury the truth, and in exchange, Evelyn had promised him money, land, whatever he needed to keep him quiet. But Thomas Vance had disappeared 6 months later. No note, no goodbye. Just vanished, like Harold before him. Marin reads the entry, dated March 1939, and her blood runs cold. He threatened to tell, said his conscience was eating him alive, said he would go to the sheriff if I did not give him more money. But I had nothing left. The farm was failing. I was alone, so I did what I had to do. God forgive me. I did what I had to do. The letter ends there. But Marin understands now. Thomas Vance did not disappear. Evelyn killed him too, buried him somewhere on the property, another secret sealed beneath soil and silence. And his son, Deputy Coulter Vance, has spent his whole life wondering what happened to his father. Marin sits back, her hands shaking. This is not just a story about a woman who killed her abusive husband in self-defense. This is a story about murder, premeditated, deliberate. A woman who killed twice to protect her secrets, and Marin has the proof. She has the letters. She has the ring. She has enough evidence to rewrite history, to give Thomas Vance's son the closure he has been denied for decades. She picks up the phone and dials the Valley Register again. This time, she does not hesitate. I have a story, she says, and I have proof. The editor listens as Marin lays out everything. Evelyn's confession, Harold's death, Thomas Vance's disappearance, the letters, the ring, the sealed cellar. When she finishes, there is a long silence on the other end. This is big, the editor says finally. This is front page, maybe national if we play it right. Marin feels something twist in her chest. Pride, vindication, the familiar rush of breaking a story that matters. When can you publish? Give me 3 days. I'll need to verify some details, get statements from the sheriff's office. But yeah, we'll run it. The editor pauses. You sure about this? Small towns don't forgive easily. And the Brandt name still carries weight around here. I'm sure, Marin says. But her voice sounds hollow, even to her own ears. She hangs up and stares at the letters spread across the table, at Evelyn's desperate handwriting, at the words "God forgive me" repeated over and over like a mantra. And for the first time, Marin wonders if she is making the same mistake Evelyn did, if she is bearing one truth to protect another, if she is choosing exposure over mercy because she does not know how to choose anything else. That night, she dreams of Evelyn again. The woman sits across from her at the kitchen table, her face shadowed, her hands folded in her lap. "You think you are different from me?" Evelyn says. "You think your truth is righteous. But truth without compassion is just another kind of violence. I'm giving Thomas Vance's son answers. I'm giving him peace, are you?" Evelyn tilts her head. "Or are you giving him a new kind of pain? The pain of knowing his father died for money. The pain of knowing he was buried like a dog, unmourned and forgotten. He deserves to know, does he? Or do you just need to tell?" Evelyn's eyes, dark and infinite, bore into hers. "You are not saving anyone, child. You are only trying to save yourself. And that is a burden no story can lift." Marin wakes to Sadie barking. The sound is frantic, desperate, coming from outside. She stumbles out of bed, grabbing her flashlight, and runs downstairs. The back door is open, swinging on its hinges, and Sadie is nowhere in sight. "Sadie!" Marin calls into the darkness. "Sadie, come!" But the dog does not return. Marin pulls on her boots and jacket and follows the sound of barking into the yard. The fog is thick tonight, turning her flashlight beam into a diffuse glow that barely penetrates 3 feet ahead. She follows Sadie's barks toward the old oak tree, her heart pounding, and then the barking stops. Marin runs faster, her breath coming in gasps. "Sadie!" She finds the dog sitting beside a freshly disturbed patch of earth near the tree's base. The ground there has collapsed inward, like something beneath has finally given way. Sadie looks up at Marin, whining softly, and paws at the edge of the hole. Marin shines her light down and sees it. Bone. Not animal this time. Human. A skull. Half buried in mud, eye sockets black and hollow. And beside it, a rusted metal identification tag on a chain. With shaking hands, Marin reaches down and pulls the tag free. She wipes away the mud, squinting at the engraved letters in the beam of her flashlight. Thomas Vance. She sits back hard, the tag clutched in her fist. This is it, the final piece. The proof that Evelyn killed twice. The truth that will destroy what is left of the Vance family's hope that Thomas ran away, that he chose to leave, that he simply wanted a different life. This truth will tell Coulter Vance that his father died begging for his life, that he was murdered over money, that his body was dumped like trash beneath a tree and forgotten. Marin thinks about the article she just authorized, about how it will publish in 3 days, about how it will spread through the town like wildfire, consuming reputations and reopening wounds that have scarred over for decades. She thinks about Liam's words. "You don't care who it hurts, as long as you're the one telling it." And she thinks about Evelyn's dream warning. Truth without compassion is just another kind of violence. Sadie whines again, pressing her nose into Marin's hand. The dog's eyes are dark and knowing, like she understands what Marin cannot yet admit to herself, that some truths do not heal, they only destroy. 3 days later, the story runs. The Valley Register prints it on the front page above the fold, with a headline that screams across black ink, "Local woman's 80-year secret, double murder at Brandt Farm." They include Marin's byline. They quote from Evelyn's letters. They mention Thomas Vance by name. Marin does not read it. She cannot bring herself to look at her own words printed in stark authority. Instead, she stays at the farmhouse, windows shuttered, doors locked, waiting for the fallout she knows is coming. It arrives before noon. Deputy Coulter Vance's patrol car pulls into the driveway, and Marin watches from the window as he gets out slowly, his movements deliberate and controlled. He does not knock. He pounds on the door with the side of his fist, 3 heavy strikes that rattle the frame. Marin opens it, her heart in her throat. Vance stands on the porch, the newspaper clutched in his hand. His face is pale, his eyes red-rimmed and hollow. For a long moment he just stares at her. Then he throws the paper at her feet. "You didn't free anyone," he says, his voice low and shaking. "You just shifted the weight. I'm sorry." "Sorry?" He laughs, bitter and broken. "You're sorry. My whole life I wondered about him. Wondered if maybe he was out there somewhere, living another life, too ashamed to come back. And I could live with that. I could live with him being a coward. But you took that from me. His voice cracks. You made him a victim. You made my father into someone who died begging. And now I have to carry that. Now every time I close my eyes, I'll see him under that tree, bleeding out, calling for help that never came. He deserves to be remembered. To have his story told. His story. Vance steps closer and Marin resists the urge to back away. This isn't his story. It's yours. You needed redemption, so you sacrificed my family for it. You needed to feel like you mattered again, so you dug up pain that was better left buried. He spits the words like venom. You're not a journalist. You're a grave robber. He turns and walks back to his car. Before he gets in, he looks back at her one last time. I hope it was worth it. The car pulls away, leaving Marin standing alone on the porch. She picks up the newspaper with trembling hands and finally reads her own article. The words blur together, but the damage is clear. She has exposed everything, every secret, every sin. And in doing so, she has hurt the one person who deserved protection. Over the next 2 days, the story spreads. Regional news picks it up. A true crime podcast contacts her for an interview. Someone from a streaming service wants to option the story for a documentary. Marin's phone rings constantly, voices eager and hungry, wanting more details, more blood, more tragedy to consume. And through it all, Liam does not call. On the third night, a storm rolls in. Not rain this time, but wind and lightning that splits the sky like fractures in glass. Marin stands at the kitchen window, watching the old oak tree sway in the gale, its branches creaking and groaning under the force. Thunder cracks, so loud it shakes the house. Lightning strikes the tree with a sound like the world breaking open. The trunk splits down the middle, peeling apart in a shower of sparks and burning wood. The tree that has stood for 100 years, that has witnessed every secret buried beneath its roots, falls in 2 massive pieces that slam into the earth with enough force to rattle Marin's teeth, and in the silence that follows, Sadie is gone. Marin searches the house, calling the dog's name, but Sadie is nowhere. The back door is open again, swinging in the wind, and Marin knows where the dog has gone. Where she always goes when the house becomes too heavy with ghosts. Marin pulls on her jacket and runs into the storm. Lightning illuminates the yard in stark flashes, turning everything into a nightmare landscape of shadows and light. The fallen tree lies like a corpse across the ground, its roots torn free, exposing a crater of dark earth beneath. And there, sitting at the edge of the crater, is Sadie. The dog is staring down into the hole where the tree once stood. Marin approaches slowly, her boots sinking into mud, and looks down. Another skeleton. Smaller than Thomas Vance's, older, the bones nearly dissolved into the soil, but unmistakable. Harold Brandt. Not beneath the kitchen floor after all. Beneath the tree. Buried where the earth could keep him, where Evelyn could see him every day from her window, where guilt could take root and grow. Marin sinks to her knees in the mud, rain pouring down her face. She thinks about everything she has uncovered, everything she has exposed. And she realizes with sickening clarity that she was wrong. She was wrong about the cellar, wrong about the burial, wrong about the story she told. Harold was under the tree. Thomas was under the tree. Both of them, side by side, their bones intertwined in the dark. And the cellar was never a grave. It was exactly what Evelyn said it was. A place to seal away confession. A place to bury truth. The article Marin published was only half right, and half-truths are the most dangerous lies of all. Morning comes grey and silent. The storm has passed, leaving the world washed clean and cold. Marin sits on the porch with Sadie at her feet, staring at the fallen tree, at the exposed earth, at the bones that should have stayed buried. Her phone rings. The editor from the Valley Register. She lets it go to voicemail. It rings again. A producer from a true crime show. She turns it off. The truth is out there now, spreading like infection, and there is no way to take it back. No way to unsay what she has written. no way to undo the harm she has caused. Deputy Vance's father was murdered. That much is true. But everything else, the location, the burial, the story Marin constructed from fragments and assumptions, was wrong. And now Coulter Vance will live with a version of his father's death that is both true and false, both answer and torment. Marin thinks about calling him, about trying to explain. But she knows there are no words that can repair what she has broken. Instead, she makes a different call. Valley Register. This is Marin Calloway. I need you to kill the follow-up story. What? We've already... I don't care. Kill it. There won't be any more articles. No interviews. No updates. The story is finished. Her voice is steady, cold. And if you run anything else without my permission, I'll sue you for everything you have. She hangs up before the editor can argue. Then she walks to the kitchen table where her notes are spread out. Journals, photographs, transcripts of Evelyn's letters. She gathers them all into a pile, carries them to the fireplace, and sets them on fire. The flames catch quickly, consuming paper and ink, turning confession into ash. Marin watches until there is nothing left but smoke and the faint smell of burning. Then she sweeps the ashes into a bag and buries them in the backyard, far from the tree, far from the bones, in a place where they can dissolve into earth and be forgotten. Over the next month, Marin works. She patches the roof, repairs the windows, replaces the rotted boards on the porch. She cleans every room, paints the walls, hangs new curtains. She covers the hole in the kitchen floor with concrete, sealing the cellar forever. And when spring comes, she plants flowers over the place where Harold and Thomas lie beneath the fallen tree. Wildflowers. Forget-me-nots. Small blooms that will return year after year, marking the graves without naming them. Liam sends her a letter in April. It is short, written in his careful handwriting on lined paper. Marin, I forgive you, but I'm not coming back. You need to learn how to live without needing to dig. How to accept that some things are meant to rest in peace. The house is yours. Do whatever you want with it. But please, for your own sake, let the past stay buried. Else she folds the letter carefully and puts it in a drawer. She does not write back. Some conversations are better left unsaid. Deputy Vance comes by once more in May. He does not knock this time. He just stands at the edge of the property, looking at the farmhouse, at the flowers growing where the tree used to be. Marin watches him from the window but does not go out. After a while he gets back in his car and drives away. She never sees him again. Summer turns the valley green and gold. The farmhouse stops creaking at night. The rooms feel warmer, lighter, like something heavy has finally lifted. Sadie lies in patches of sunlight, content and calm, no longer drawn to the places where secrets used to hide, and Marin learns to live in the silence. She does not write, does not investigate, does not dig. She tends the garden, repairs what breaks, watches the seasons change. She learns that peace is not found in revelation, but in acceptance. That some truths are meant to be carried quietly, held close, whispered to the earth, and nowhere else. On a cool evening in October, almost a year after she first arrived, Marin sits on the porch with a cup of tea and watches the sun set over the valley. The farmhouse stands solid behind her, no longer a ruin, but a home. The land stretches out in waves of gold and shadow, beautiful and haunted and hers. Sadie lifts her head suddenly, ears pricked, staring at the kitchen window. Marin follows her gaze but sees nothing, just glass reflecting the fading light, but then she hears it. Faint, almost imperceptible beneath the evening wind. Click, click, click. The sound of typewriter keys, echoing up through the floorboards, through the concrete, through the sealed and silent cellar below. Marin smiles slightly, sad and knowing. I understand now, she whispers. I understand. The typing stops. The house settles, and in the quiet that follows, Marin realizes that the past never really stays buried. But sometimes, if you are merciful enough, if you are wise enough, if you are brave enough to stop digging, sometimes you can learn to live with ghosts. The sun slips below the horizon. and darkness comes soft and forgiving to the farmhouse that no one wanted. The place where secrets rest beneath flowers and concrete and silence. The place where Marin Calloway learned that the truth is not always justice, and that mercy sometimes lies in knowing when to let the dead keep their secrets. The wind moves through the valley, carrying the scent of earth and wildflowers. And somewhere deep below, in the dark where light cannot reach, Evelyn Brandt finally rests. Her confession unspoken, her sins her own, her peace earned not through revelation, but through one woman's choice to stop, to finally, mercifully stop digging. Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.